This On, Season 6, Episode 35, where we watch Making Fun, Season 1, Episode 1. And I'm Chris Lorenz, where I hate people, but I make a podcast for people.
Bonus member. I'm Brian.
A catapult that throws cat poop? I'm Canadian Max.
Welcome. If this is your first time listening, we watch a different reality show each week, discussing it in minute detail, figuring out if it's good or bad. And last week, we did a throwback Shaq versus. We threw up a poll on Twitter, and we had a top third result on Twitter, which was our consensus last week. So we all agreed Shaq versus is a good show. Go watch it. If you want to tell us what you thought about this show, you can find us on Twitter at Who Put This On, and you can vote on our poll. And what did we watch this week, Brian?
This week we watched Making Fun on Netflix. Grumpy expert maker Jimmy DiResta and his four real-life friends Paul Jackman, Pat Lapp, Derek Forster, and Johnny Graziano field kids' ideas for delightfully pointless inventions. Then, if Jimmy's in the mood, he and his pals build them.
Where the hell did you pull that from?
IMDb.
Okay. Netflix probably has like a 7-word.
Oh, it's a like one sentence.
7 words.
Jimmy
Max.
make toy for kid.
Yeah. So they have these makers, and they make some ridiculous contraption that they get from a webcam of some kids. Which I think the tone of the show is very fun. I think the kids come on this webcam, and Jimmy talks to them, and like Jimmy has like a no nonsense, like you're an idiot kind of attitude with these kids, and seems to like low key hate them, and it's great.
So, should we talk about Jimmy's background?
Yeah, let's get into that.
He used to live in New York City, and he used to make toys for kids, and then he realized he didn't like the city, and he doesn't like kids.
And he doesn't like making toys too, according to that intro, which I thought was funny. But the low key theme of like they showed some kids and they're like, "Hey, can you make a fart humidifier?" And he just is like, "No." And he's like, then they get to these people, "Can we make a taco, like a T-Rex that like throws tacos or whatever?" And he's like, "I guess," which is clearly producer setup. But it's the way his attitude toward this whole thing, I think, is great.
I agree.
It's definitely a persona. Like, I don't. If you're made to work with kids, I don't think you're gonna purposely be an asshole.
I mean, when you're making toys, you don't necessarily need to deal with the kids that much,
right? But like there's also segments that we'll get into where like he was a little bit like terse.
Oh yeah. I mean, like, there's definitely some personification of this show for sure. It's also seems like for kids. Like, this is a reality show for kids. It's like showing kids that you can make things, and like these are like fun, crazy things you can make. And like on that level, I think the show is pretty good.
Oh yeah.
From like an adult perspective, it's like it's a little rote and not the best thing in the world, but it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. So that's Jimmy DiResta. I don't know if there's anything else in the internet corner we can find out about that guy, but he's the main guy. He runs the whole sitch. Then we got Jackman. He's the engineer. He's like not in the show really. He helps with the head, and like doesn't really do anything. Then we got Derek, the best friend. He works with Jimmy as he does essentially makes the dinosaur, which we'll get into. Then we got Graz, or my spell check kept going to gross. He makes bad jokes, apparently. That's his Chiron. And we got Canadian Pat, which is by far the most like persona on the show, for sure. Like, he's next level. He's just weird. He's really weird.
Love the energy though.
It's weird that they call him Canadian Pat, and he acts so weird. So is he like saying that all Canadians act that way? Like,
No,
What are we getting at here?
like
I mean, I think he's Quebecois.
Quebecian?
Quebecois.
Okay.
Um, but what I will say is, like, of the characters on the show, there is Jimmy, there's a bunch of useless guys, and there's Canadian Pat, or rather, three guys who are interchangeable, fungible, one might say.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they're useless. I think three of those people are like journeymen, can do probably anything. But are they like the best at doing things, setting things up? Who knows? I don't know. We only watched one episode.
yeah, I don't know. When I think about like the nicknames that they give everybody, they don't usually need to think about a nickname for somebody who's already going to be really present in the show. Like Graz, bad joke maker. Okay, he'll do that like a couple times.
Does
Can-
he? I never got like bad jokes from that guy.
Exactly. And then Canadian Pat, oh, he's Canadian, whatever, but he is putting the energy out there.
He's got some energy, some sort of energy. It's hard to describe that guy, to be honest with you. But what we do know about Canadian Pat is he loves the lathe. He loves this like machine that you put like a circular piece of wood and then like carve it essentially while it's spinning. And he does that the whole episode. He makes teeth. He makes a shitter, a bowl for the shitter. He makes some toenails. Like that's all he does. He's the lathe guy.
He loves the ladies.
Like there's an extended segment with that like he goes out and he chops like some sort of like giant stump into like in half, and it's like really overly produced and kind of jarring in a way, and to make this like bowl for the toilet, which we haven't gotten to, but like
That was pretty fun. Make like going and getting some wood a little interesting instead of just pulling out some 2x4s. Like,
I mean, he wasn't gonna do that.
No.
Anyway, let's see. Should we talk about this T-Rex that shoots candy tacos?
But also some real tacos.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Like, if I asked you, Max, to make a T-Rex that shoots candy tacos and all they did was fall on the floor, I'd be upset.
If you were a kid, you would not be upset.
I don't know. I feel like some picky kids out there would be upset.
I will say, like, okay, so the thing they build is a T-Rex that shoots some candy tacos and some real tacos out of its mouth into a toilet bowl for some reason. I don't think a kid would come up with this. This sounds like something a producer would think a kid would come up with.
Oh, 100%. There's no way these kids are like, that's what I want. Like, in what world? Like, what do they want? Like, how does that even come about?
I will say it's probably like a little inspired by kids. Like kids will dream up a lot of random stuff. I agree that like this prompt was like cobbled together with producers, but if you just get like a bunch of kids in a focus room and they're just like shouting dinosaur tacos, like, all right, well, there we go. There's two buzzwords. Let's go.
I mean, it definitely could be that they got these two kids in and like got them to a point where they had an idea that they could actually do, and then like squashed it down into like nothing.
Yep.
Just being like, what do you want? The thing we just told you to say you wanted? Yeah, that. But one of the best parts about the show was the fart humidifier. So they had these kids, different set of kids, came on and said they wanted a fart humidifier. Brian, what is a fart humidifier?
I don't even remember. Like, I remember it was just like this thing that was spray farts at people.
Yeah, so you would fart and it would suck up the fart, and then you could spray that fart at other people later so that it would smell on them.
So it's like the Ghostbusters machine, but for farts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And why would you want to do this? Sweet revenge.
That's right. That's what that one guy said. They want like these are two boys, and they clearly, trying this out. They actually showed them with a jar at some point.
See, that's something that I legitimately think a kid would come up with. I don't think that like I think that younger boys would definitely think about farts, gonna get revenge on people, spray like farts on everybody, like tease people. Very within the realm of possibility.
Yeah, but T-Rex taco just doesn't.
It
It
doesn't.
doesn't ring true.
Yeah, that's not an idea that like a kid just says, that's what I want.
Right.
It's like you can have a conversation with a kid and get to the point that that's what he wants. That's just not a thing that he wants.
I mean, how much do Mad Libs books cost these days? Like $2?
Free with
I
ads?
have a weird question. Do you guys know about Axe Cop?
No.
No.
It is a comic that is drawn by like this 30-year-old, but the plot is dictated to him by his like 5-year-old brother. So it's just fucking insane, but it's like very well written, and that's like you see this is clearly from the mind of a 5-year-old. It could not be any other way. Um, and I just didn't get that from this Taco T-Rex. This is a
It's pretty
producer
cool.
pretending to be a 6-year-old and feeding it to some kids.
The one fun thing about this was that they gave some like requirements for the T-Rex. Like Jimmy asked him, "How tall do you want it?" And they said 14 feet, and he was like, "Well, the door's only 12 feet, so we could do 12 feet." And then the kid was like, 12 feet, and there was some other things that came up that the kid said that they wanted. Which I think that part should have been fleshed out a little bit more. I think that would have been fun. Like somebody asked, "What color do you want it?" And he was just like, "Nope, not being that color," and then moved on.
Yeah,
I
they
thought that was
wanted the
fun.
color to be black, and he's like, "Nope, not that." Yeah, he's very good at dismissing them and just moving on, and the kids just roll with it.
I thought that's pretty fun. Like that. So they like start making this T Rex, and then at some point they're like, they call the kids back and bring in a secondary thing that they wanted but didn't say the first time, which is 100% like reality show producer thing to do.
Yes.
And they wanted a toilet. They wanted the T-Rex to poop on a toilet, it seemed. It was very unclear what the kids actually wanted. Am I wrong?
No, I didn't know what the hell they were talking about either. Like that was definitely the weirdest setup. But it's just throw another word in the mix. Cool.
And so then they just decide that they're going to make a toilet for you to sit on and then get rained on tacos. So they put the toilet underneath where the tacos come out, and then the tacos just like come on your head while you're pooping.
What a glorious day.
Right. Seemed kind of silly. Like the Brian, you had this comment, but they made this bowl for this toilet. Do you think this bowl can hold how much of a T-Rex poop do you think this bowl could hold?
Like real life T-Rex, probably 30%.
30%? Oh, you're being way generous.
No, I'm talking like it's got to like hang over a little bit. Like it's.
I think this bowl can hold like 3% of a T-Rex poop.
This is
Like
bullshit. See what I did there? I put bowl in there.
This bowl's very small. But anyway, I thought it was really silly. If you're trying to go silly, I think it worked really well. If you're going with a kid came up with this, I'm gonna go with a negatory.
It's just more than Mad Libs. Like get a kid to shout something cool. We're just throwing it as a requirement. And to be honest, that's kind of a cool way to do it. Just, hey, like, here's this thing. Let's see what you come up with, imagination wise.
Again, I like this guy and his dismissing of these kids. That's like the best part of the show almost.
Yeah. But that's also part of it where I think that there's legitimate thoughts from the kid. Like, oh, you want to paint it black? No, that's going to look horrible. It's just, you're not going to be able to see anything. Just get it out of here.
Not like, hey, this thing shooting tacos is stupid, so we're not going to do it.
Right.
But painting it black, no.
No, I mean, you got to see the work. You want to have like some creativity within like the appearance.
Okay, all right. Let's talk about how they actually like constructed it. So the body was made out of plywood, and then they covered the plywood in foam that they carved down to like look like a T-Rex body. And then They had a conveyor belt that ran the tacos, which was also made out of wood. Um, then they made a
Most of
head.
this was wood and foam. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, they made the head out of like a foam. They used some sort of chemicals to make a giant foam box, which is weird that they did that because a foam box usually you mold something with that foam and not just make a box. But then they took the foam and then carved the head they wanted out of it. So,
Yeah.
you know, to each his own. And they used the lathe to make some wooden teeth and stuff. We talked about that already, and
I
that's
thought
it.
there were well, I thought there were some cool techniques they used while carving. One thing they did is they had a really hot wire that they would sort of like pass through the foam and it would cut the foam nice and smooth. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I mean, I like this technique. I personally think they needed way more foam on the body. I think the body was like super skinny, and if they
Yeah.
had like done way more foam, they could have gotten like a nice sculpted body. Like it was cartoonish, which was fine, but I think it could have been done a little bit better. The eyes were like super close to each other. It looked really silly, which I fits the tone, but these are critiques I have for this thing.
So I really thought that they did a lot of this demonstration work well. The one thing I wrote is that this is a better version of Jim Henson's Creature Shop Challenge because they actually show like a little bit of how they do it. Like I legitimately learned something. We dive into like how you fix shit if something's broke.
I mean, they definitely went into like more of how like you'd work in a shop. Not like super in depth, but a little bit. Like they got into a point where like, okay, we got this mouth that opens and closes via this method of like they have a counterweight. But then they're like, this taco weighs like 3 ounces, and that's not gonna, that doesn't work because the counterweight, not a counterweight anymore. Won't weigh as much as the counterweight. So they have to change it up and use a conveyor belt to like open and close the mouth as the conveyor goes up. Like I thought that was kind of an interesting aspect. And I mean the most interesting thing you probably learn is like them making the body where they like cut the plywood and then nail it together.
The other aspect was so they were initially diagramming it out, and you saw them like drawing on the chalkboard, and Netflix like kind of took it out and like removed a lot of like their like extra stuff and just like gave this like cool animation, like simplified like what to focus on. And then when they also like panned back to them like planning it out, you saw like a lot more of the outside work, all the other stuff that like they were thinking about through this process, like that wasn't recorded, and that was also kind of interesting to me.
I mean, it was interesting. They like legit made this thing. They
Yeah.
didn't like we could complain about the setup about the kids, which I think was entertaining but a little weird. But they like legit made this thing, and you get to see like 50% of it being made, which is more than a lot of shows, for sure. So it's kind of like MythBusters esque. Like they build something, but there's no real reason they're building it, which I really liked about MythBusters, to be honest. But you see a lot more of the build here than you really do in MythBusters. So maybe it's a little like Junkyard Wars.
Yeah, both of those passed my mind as I was watching this show.
What about Candified?
What about
Ugh.
BattleBots?
Battle what?
BattleBots.
BattleBots.
Nothing to do with
BattleBots.
BattleBots. What about Too Hot to
I mean,
Handle?
somebody made those, I guess. Um,
In Too Hot to
let's see
Handle,
what
they show
else.
you how to make babies.
Make babies. You
Yeah.
got cut off there for a second. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, we kind of went over what happened in this episode, right? Like
Yeah.
at the end, we get to see this T-Rex come out, and they have like this giant video screen that the kids are on, and because it's COVID production, probably. So they come out, and Jimmy's a pretty good like performer at this point. He's like, "Is this what you?" He had like a doll T-Rex that they kind of made as like a mock of what's going to happen, and he was like, "Is this what you wanted?" And the kids were like, "No." That was pretty fun. And then they like bring out the T-Rex and like they bring out the tacos and the guy sits on the toilet and the tacos come out and that was fun.
It was a very good reveal, almost like that home makeover show.
Yeah.
Also, when they revealed
was.
it, they had that frozen ice, the sort of mysterious mist, whatever the hell
Yeah.
that's called.
They had a lot. The mist was great. I think
Yeah.
the whole like workshop filled with mist was really fun.
It was cool.
And the guy getting taco stuff all over him was fun, and him trying to catch the taco stuff. That was great. I thought that was fun. It was a little weird. There was like a jarring cut. I thought about like they open the door, you see the dinosaur, think it's on something, then the next time you see it, it's like on the ground. And I'm like, how do you wheel that dinosaur out without breaking it? They didn't show that.
That was probably like an hour or two production that we did not need to see.
There's a lot of time lapses I kind of wanted at this show that we don't get to see.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that would be an interesting learning thing. Hey, how do you move a giant T-Rex that is very fragile?
I feel like they probably just didn't plan very well for this.
I think they planned better than the people on that Candyfied show.
That's fair. But when something falls or breaks on the Candified show, that's part of their show.
Yeah.
That's entertaining. They break this T-Rex, that's no bueno.
Yeah, but at the same time, I feel like this crew is going to recover better than the Candyfied crew.
Yeah. And the kids seem excited about this whole thing. And I thought that was pretty good. Then the last thing that happens in this whole episode, which is, I think, by far the best thing, is they do a Jurassic Park parody where Ian Grant sees the dinosaurs for the first time and like gets like Sally or whatever her name is to like turn her head and look at the dinosaurs. And so they do this whole scene and then they pan over to the dinosaur with Canadian Pat on the toilet. It's
Getting covered
the
in
best part.
tacos.
Yeah, it was the best part for sure.
They had a lot of good random moments where they just had funny humor. There was one where just toss something and they had the Aqua Teen Hunger Force random explosion.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody got flicked. I think Canadian Pat got flicked by like a giant hand. They knew what they were about. They were just having fun. And you're right. This is a show for kids, and that's all.
Yeah.
This stuff is appealing.
Somebody got injured. Somebody got injured on set.
Oh yeah,
they got a mosquito bite.
Excuse me, it was a wasp sting.
Oh, wow, sorry guys. Sorry. Thank you for correcting me. Max, any other fun moments in the show that you liked?
I think we've gone through all of them. Let me check my notes.
Brian, you have
they had a
those?
cool problem solving the jaw. So the jaw has to sort of open and close every time a taco goes through it, and they just hooked it up to the conveyor belt to get that movement. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, like that immediate moment to like shift and fix the problem was really awesome to see, and like gives me ideas now if I want to think about that type of thing.
I mean, ultimately, you can just tell that the guys making the show, they're kind of having fun with it too. That's part of the reason I really like Mythbusters and the reason I hate so many of these reality shows, because everybody on them probably hates them. Anyway, they're having fun on the show, so it's good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Problem.
Short but sweet review, I think, this week. Should we move on to questions?
Yeah.
Let's see. I don't know if anyone really qualifies for the worst human being this week.
The children.
Yeah, especially the fart humidifier kid. That kid's a dick.
That's fair. Probably the fart humidifier. But he is a kid, so like...
That doesn't mean you can't be a dick.
It's who is the worst person? Are you saying children are not people, Chris?
Yes, I am saying that.
Damn.
That's correct. Let's see. Is this the Apex downgrade for the host?
I don't know enough about him to say.
I was just gonna say, no one looked this dude up.
I can look him up quickly on IMDb because I had it up. But considering he was just like an amateur, well, seemingly amateur crafter
toy maker. I mean, he's a professional toy maker. This is like probably his apex on IMDb. But
Oh.
like,
Oh wow. Okay. So I'm looking at his filmography. So there's a few other things that he's done.
but he was in them. But like, is he the star?
Um so he was on like other reality shows like Making It.
Ooh,
That was like with Amy Poehler and
yeah,
Nick
we did
Offerman.
Making It.
Yeah.
I guess that he had to be because in the beginning of the show he said like, I'm a somewhat famous reality show like maker now. He must have won Making It.
He must have, yeah.
He was a co-host on something called Trash to Cash. He was on Against the Grain on DIY Network. He was on Dirty Money with his brother John on Discovery Channel.
Um, let's see. Winning a reality show competition or hosting your own reality show competition, or we're hosting this reality show.
I think winning a reality show is a really good prerequisite for getting your own show. So I think that like getting your own show is an upgrade.
All right, upgrade it is. They have it. Let's do drinking rules. You got some drinking rules. Um, every time a kid gives an idea, take a drink.
Every time there's a slow-mo shot, take a drink.
Every time there's some editing that like puts like an 80s background behind somebody, take a shot.
What about whenever Canadian Pat is on the lathe, take a drink.
Think there also has to be something for. I'm betting that there's a bonus request for every single episode. Like it's only going to start with like 2, and then you got to add 1.
Oh yeah. Drink while the sound is on. The bonus content or the wasn't there a problem too?
Yeah, there's a problem one too. So, yeah, when those segments pop up, finish your drink.
Every time there is toilet. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to move on, but if you have another one.
Every time there is toilet humor, puke into the toilet from your previous shots.
There you go. Would this show be better as a Quibi or TikTok, I guess?
No.
Possibly.
I think if you made things smaller, it could be an interesting TikTok or Quibi, but probably not.
The thing is, we talk a lot about shows having too much filler. This show had good filler where it was like a little entertaining and caters to its target audience.
You're not wrong. I said no.
Yeah. No, I mean like it's like I don't know like what I could reasonably remove from it to like get it down to 5 minutes.
All right, Max, this one's specifically for you. Who do you think is going to hook up next?
Canadian Pat and a tree.
Yes.
And that bowl he made.
Canadian Pat and his lathe.
All right, let's do. What do you love about the show, Brian? Tell me what you love about it.
I love the stupid humor. Like it's catering towards kids, but at the same time, this reality show knows what it's about, and they lean so hard into it. I love feeding off that energy.
Yeah, I love that this guy's making things for kids, and like his attitude toward kids is like really like makes the show worthwhile watching. To be honest, if it was like somebody that loved kids and was like, "Oh, you want to make a fart humidifier? Let's make it!" Like the show would be unbearable. So the fact that this guy's like making fun of the kids and like being reasonable with these kids, I think really sets the right tone. And I think like these guys have a good camaraderie that like I think comes off. That they're all having fun and they're all like, this thing's silly, but I guess so. Which is a fun tone. Max, what do you love about the show?
I like that the host is kind of a dick to the kids. Like he's very dismissive, and it works. It works for me. The show kind of hits the same thing as like Shrek, where it's fun for kids and it's bearable for adults.
Yeah, I agree. Let's do ratings. So we do a stack ranking system between top, middle, and bottom third compared to other reality shows. Brian, what is your rating?
I'm gonna do bottom of the top. I was really entertained with this. I was learning a lot, and I explicitly put down the Creature Shop Challenge, which I loved. So I think I'm gonna check out more episodes.
Max, what do you got for me?
I'm gonna say middle third, top of the middle. Would I watch more? No. Did I enjoy what I watched? Yes.
I'm debating between middle and top third, but I don't really give a fuck. We'll put it in the top because I think I love watching people build random shit. I thought this building was a little, a little rote and a little like not necessarily for my demographic, but the kid stuff was fun, and it would definitely be like a decent side TV content to like watch them build some crazy contraption that is stupid and silly. Would I rather watch these 5 people compete in a junkyard war? 100%. Like that's the show I want. So maybe we need to do that show at some point. It's been it's just been off
We've
the
been
air.
talking about Junkyard Wars for years.
Yeah, we got to do it. It's like Mythbusters and Junkyard Wars is like, Hall of Fame level of like making shows. And this isn't really near those, I don't think, because I'm not really compelled in what they're making. But it is, quality entertainment. There you have it. Let's do some shout outs. Brian, do you have a shout out this week?
Upload is back.
Oh yeah, season 2. We could talk about that. Did you finish it?
No, I haven't yet. So
Okay.
but I've been liking what I've been watching so far.
Yeah, I thought season 1. If you haven't watched season 1, it's so good. The like hyper capitalism satire is like next level season.
It was a very pleasant surprise. I wouldn't say it was like show of the year or anything, but it was fun.
No,
Right.
I you don't really see the level of capitalism satire in many things, and I think that I think this does a really great job of that. Season 2 is a little more plotty than that, so it's not as good, but it's good. Max, you have a shout out this week?
Yeah, I've been playing that Elden Ring. Love that Elden Ring.
Are
Would
there
recommend.
rings in this? Is Sonic in this thing?
Yeah, Sonic's in it. Everyone's in it. The world is so big, there's no limit.
Is Jim Carrey in it? Like, is he?
The girl from The Ring is in it.
Does she come out through your TV?
Yeah, that's one of the bonus features.
That's one of the bonus features. If you pay extra, she can come out. I don't know if I really have anything. I finished Witcher season 2 recently. That's really good. Upload is good. The new season of Picard is pretty good. If you hated season 1, season 2 is definitely starting out a little stronger and much more compelling. If you're looking for a book series, I'd really recommend the Cradle series by Will White. I'm wearing the shirt today, and it reminds me of that. So I'm going to shout it out. So we're doing it. Anyway,
Ooh,
yeah,
Chris,
Max.
have you read Skyward by Brandon Sanderson?
I have. I am currently waiting on the library for book 2.2.
I'm listening to the audiobook of it. It's pretty all right.
Yeah. I listened to the audiobook. It's good. It's young adults if you're getting into it. It's like it's got the same tropes. Just as a note. Anyway, please tell us what you thought about the show on our Twitter poll at Who Put This On. We'll have a Twitter. Tell us know if you thought it was top, middle, or bottom third. You can find us on Facebook.com/Who Put This On. You can email us questions, suggestions at whoputthison@gmail.com. You can find our TikToks, which we haven't really been doing, but we need to do them at Who Put This On Podcast. And we'll see you guys next time. Oh, also next week we're going to watch Next Level Chef for real. I promise you. It's on the calendar. It's going to happen. S1E1. And I will always love you.
Everybody, keep an eye on American Idol. This dude's gonna make it.
Oh, I'm making it. I'm getting on there. Next William Hung. Here we come.
Watch out.